We are live for another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC Des Moines. I think that's how you say it. Not really too great at saying it, but yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Sorry about the late start. I've got a lot going on at home, had to take care of some stuff, and as you can see, I'm also sweating. It's really hot in here, and we haven't set up our ACs yet because we're in New York, and it was cold like, a week ago? So now it's hot and I'm sweating, and we'll make this work, though. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for being on time. Sev is trying to help me here. So it's Des Moines. Okay, UFC Des Moines. That's how you say it. As always, we'll recap last week. Last week wasn't so good. We'll talk about it, and then we'll jump right into this card. I'm going to try to keep this breakdown shorter than usual. I don't want to go an hour and a half today because I just don't have it. So I'll try to be a little bit quick. If there's spots that are relatively obvious to me, at least, I'll say so. And if there's any spots where I need to do some more work, I'll tell you guys as well. So quick, freaking dog father over here. I'd bet money he couldn't pronounce it either. Let's recap. So last week we ended up down minus 3.35 units. I lost 2 units on Prates, had plus 105 and plus 145. He fought terribly. I don't really know what to say. I don't even think it was really on him. I just think he struggled with Ian Gary. I think Ian Gary's that good. I think people are going to continue to not give Ian Gary credit. They're going to blame it on Prates, but I think it's because Ian Gary's just that good. And at the end of the day, that probably wasn't the best bet. Anthony Smith plus 350. I had a half unit on him, and I had 0.25 units on the sub. Both were terrible. Both were bad bets. Both were never quite close. There was a moment there where they were like trading elbows, and I was like, all right, Smith, not bad. Just, survive the first round. He'll be tired. We'll be good. And then he just falls apart in classic recent Anthony Smith style. So that hurt. Giga Shikadze plus 165, 1 unit, lost that. I thought he did enough personally to win. I could be very biased, though, because I did have a bet on him. I just didn't feel like Azamat did enough with the takedown in the third round. But at the end of the day, I don't think that was a bad bet. Gage Young against Evan Elder plus 210 for a unit. Just a classic value loser. Probably wouldn't make that kind of bet again. And then Malcolm Wellmaker minus 130 to win 1 unit was the only money line I cashed. Then I had a parlay with Amorim and Elder when Elder was supposed to fight Hassanzada. So that ended up as just 1.63 units on Amorim at minus 410. I won 0.4 units there. Lost on the Brown sub, a quarter unit plus 1,000. Probably a bad bet. He never even really looked for it. He just knocked him out. I had Brown parlayed with Cuamba Roberto Romero over 2.5. That lost as well to win 1 unit, 1.1. I lost Flick decision plus 900 for a quarter unit. Really, really winnable bet there. Really winnable bet. I would make it again, but Flick is a dum-dum, and it is what it is. And then I had Pereira Magomedov fight goes plus 160. That cashed. Probably kind of lucky that Pereira chose not to fight that day, because once they were fighting, I was like, oh, that was a scary bet I made, but it wasn't that scary with the way they fought because Pereira just wasn't there at all. And Abus looked scary in the first round, and then in classic Abus fashion, slowed down as well. So that kind of saved my night there. That bet and the Malcolm Wellmaker kept me from disaster, but overall, pretty poor night from me, and not one I would like to replicate. Hoping to turn it back around this week, and I'm pretty happy with the bets I have this week. So hopefully they'll cash. I'll catch up with the chat first, and then I'll pull up the fights, and we'll get into it. What's good, Daz? Good to see you here. Let's go indeed. Dogfather, as always, on my ass. Pause. Hamzawi, I know it's too early, but Manana or Valentina. I don't know, man. I've been back and forth. I've been pushing Manon since she made her debut. I've been saying she's the real deal. She's going to be champion. And now that it's time to actually bet against her, bet against Valentina and bet on her there, I'm hesitant. I'm hesitant because it's like, yeah, Manon showed really good takedown defense against Blanchfield, but Blanchfield also has 0 hands to set it up with. And that's not the case with Shevchenko. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant. And I know Shevchenko's older now, but Manon's not young either. She's what, like 2 years younger, I think. I don't think she's that much younger. So it's a tricky one for me. If it was still like plus money Manon or pick 'em, maybe I'd be more interested. But now that a lot of money's coming in on Manon, I don't know. I have to tape it. Early lean at the line. If we're betting on it, I'd say Valentina, but there's no confidence there. But all right, let's pull up the fights and let's get into it. Okay, make this a little smaller. All right, that's good. First fight of the night, we've got Juliana Miller versus Ivana Petrovic. Miller, she's going to be Why am I so uncentered? Is it my camera? I like to be in the middle. I'm OCD. Miller, 3-3-0. She's going to be 28 years old, 5'7" with a 66-inch reach. On the other side, Petrovic, she's going to be 7-2-0, 30 years old. She's 2 years older. She's going to be 1 inch taller, and she's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. I actually didn't expect that. I knew she was taller. I didn't realize about the reach. I think this is Petrovic easy. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I know some people are picking at this fight, finding value on the Miller side, and maybe they're right, but I don't see the argument personally. I was never high on Miller. Maybe I was a little bit high after she got that first win after the Ultimate Fighter. I was like, okay, maybe we have something, but obviously she fell, and she fell pretty quickly. She's been inactive, which I don't like. I think she's still pretty green in terms of just overall mixed martial arts. I think she's a bad striker. Petrovic isn't the best striker either, but I low-key think she's better. I think that Miller is much more hittable. She's incredibly hittable. I think that her takedown defense is awful. Her jiu-jitsu is good, but because of that, she's kind of too happy to play off of her back, hunt the submissions, try to pull something off. And maybe she could here, but I think Petrovic is a good enough grappler to stay safe. I think she's a solid wrestler. I think she will get the takedowns. I think her control is good. I think she got robbed against Horth. Again, I had Petrovic there, so I could be biased, but I thought she got robbed. And I just overall, I think this is Petrovic all day long. I expected this line to be much wider. I would have been fine with like if you showed me a minus 400, like an 80% on Petrovic, I wouldn't have really blinked, and I definitely wouldn't look to bet Miller. And the line is much closer than that, much tighter than that. So I definitely have no interest on Miller here. If anything, it's Petrovic or pass for me. And if you want my bets, my notes, my breakdowns, as always, that's on my Dub Club. The Dub Club link is in the description of this video. And you can use promo code CouchWarriorPod for 20% off there. So we'll move on. I think Petrovic wins. I think she can easily get top time, control time, win a decision. I wouldn't be shocked if she was able to finish Miller later on in the fight, but I lean towards the decision, and I just think she's going to get a ton of control. And while I said that Petrovic is a slightly better striker, I don't even think it's really going to be on the feet for much. I think like at least if the fight goes a distance, I expect a maximum of like 5 minutes on the feet. I just think Petrovic is going to get the takedowns. Next up, we've got Dontel Mays versus Thomas Peterson. Mays, 11-8-0, 33 years old, 6'6" with an 81-inch reach. Peterson, 9-3-0. He's 30. He's 3 years younger, 5 inches shorter, and he's going to be at a 7-inch reach disadvantage. So funky fight for me. I'm not really high on either guy, or I wasn't really that high on either guy ever. And they're both guys that I normally look to fade with pretty much any opponent. I'm looking to fade them. Now they're fighting each other. So I have to, if I'm going to bet on it, I'm fading one with the other, which I don't like. But I will say that I think I was initially wrong about Thomas Peterson. My initial reaction to him was that he's just awful. And that's why I bet, what's his name? His debut fight, Pogues. I bet Pogues against him, cash there. And then I bet Usman lost there. And then against Gaziev, I think I might have played an over or something stupid in classic Mike fashion. And yeah, I do think that I was a little wrong about Peterson. He's not as bad as I said. His striking is decent. It's getting better. He is improving still at 30 years old. His wrestling is very good. He's got a decent submission grappling game, good ground and pound. Control is fine. And then like on the Mays side, he's huge. He's huge. He's massive. He's got decent power, athletic guy, but the skills aren't really there. Like if he wanted to on the feet, he could probably outpoint a lot of guys at heavyweight because of his reach, because of his length. Just use that jab, lateral movement, throw the combo straight down the pipe. He could be really good on the feet just because of the reach and the athleticism and the power. But he's not like that. He's not like that. He doesn't really use lateral movement. He's very plotty. He's very hittable. The jab is good. The striking is solid. It's not bad at all. I low-key think he's a better striker than Peterson, but it's just I can't really see him putting it together over 15 minutes. I just don't think he's a great minute winner at all. And more so, his takedown defense just isn't great. He's gotten his own takedowns in the past, but I really don't see him taking down Peterson. And then I think Peterson should have a relatively easy time taking him down. Maybe a ground and pound finish is live. Maybe a submission is live. I do think Peterson ITD could be something. I know the under is like close to evens, plus 124 on the under. And then what's Peterson ITD? Peterson ITD plus 215. I don't hate it. Kind of lean a little more towards the sub, but like I can see him ground and pounding Mays later in the fight. Maybe it's like a Peterson 2-3 could be something. It's a fight I have to think about some more and see what the domestics give me, but it's Peterson or pass. I don't have interest on Mays, but I normally don't really like betting somebody like Peterson at minus 250 either. So it's likely that I'm not going to have any money on this fight, and we can move on. Next up, we've got Gaston Bolanos versus Quang Lee. Bolanos, he's 8-4-0, 32 years old, 5'7" with a 69-inch reach. Lee on the other side, 8-2-0, 33 years old. He's 1 year older. He's going to be 1 inch shorter, but he's going to have a 1 inch reach advantage. So I was hesitant about this fight because I was leaning towards Quang, but I was like, am I overrating his grappling? Am I overrating his grappling? Because I don't think he can win a 15-minute decision here on the feet. I don't. I mean, maybe he can, like, if you run the fight 10 times, maybe he can like pick up one of them or two. But I think just on the feet in a kickboxing match, I don't really think Quang could beat Bolanos. So I'm depending on him mixing in the wrestling at least a little bit. And I do think he's going to do that. I'm just worried that I'm overrating it a bit. But after a lot of thought and consideration, I'm sticking with my gut. I'm sticking with my read. And I will say I'm picking Quang Lee to win the fight. On the feet, like I said, I do think Bolanos is better. I think his combinations are clean. I really like how he mixes in the kicks with the hands. Yes, his kicks are better than the hands. And if we're talking just pure boxing, Quang is probably close. It's probably very competitive. But you mix in the kicks, you mix in all the weapons. I do think Bolanos has more to offer. I do think he might hit a little bit harder. I'm not positive on that, though, because Quang can hit pretty hard, too. But overall, I do favor him on the feet. Just think he has more tools, and I think the kicks are really good. And I'm not positive Quang's that great of a leg kick checker. I know that he took a lot from Gutierrez, but he's not really checking a lot of them. And Bolanos has some pretty good leg kicks that he can use. But overall on the feet, I think that Quang could keep it close. I think that if he's pressuring forward, taking away the space from Bolanos, taking away his kicking space, the range, I think that he'll have a lot of success. And then the key for him to win, and I'm hoping, and I do think he'll do it, is to grapple. He grappled a lot in the Chris Gutierrez fight. He didn't get a lot of takedowns, but he went for them, and that's all I need to see because I think Bolanos is a worse grappler than Gutierrez. Bolanos' takedown defense is not good. His get-ups are okay. I actually don't think they're that bad, but as the fight progresses, they're not that good, and he starts to really struggle to get off of his back. Romius made a lot of mistakes, and he could have stayed on top, but he didn't. He made a lot of mistakes and fell off. I don't think Quang is going to make those same mistakes. I think Quang is a smarter fighter in the cage. And Bolanos also gives up his back. And we have seen Quang take the back a few times in the regionals and then also against Gutierrez. So I do think that Quang's got the grappling to mix it up a little bit. And if you threaten the takedowns, put that threat of the takedown out there, the striking will be a little bit easier, and then you can win minutes on the feet, and then he can take him down, win minutes on the ground as well, and maybe even pick up a submission. I think that Quang's going to give Bolanos a challenge that he hasn't really faced. Like McGee pretty much just like knocked him out. He took him down one time, didn't do a ton with that, and then just finished him on the feet in the second round. And then Aaron Phillips and Romius, they were just kind of grindy grapplers trying to grapple him the whole time. Quang's going to do both. At least that's what I'm expecting. And I think Bolanos is going to struggle with that. And I think it's going to hurt his cardio a little bit too. So I do like Quang. It's dog or pass for me. And I like the Quang spot. I'm going to pick him outright. Next up, we've got Marina Rodriguez versus Gillian Robertson. Or Robertson. I always say Robertson. So I'll just stick to that. Rodriguez, 17-5-2. She's 38 years old, 5'6" with a 65-inch reach. Robertson, she's 15-8-0, 29 years old. She's 9 years younger. It's crazy that she's only 29. I feel like she's been in the UFC for so long. 5'5", she's 1 inch shorter, and she's going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. I think it's Robertson all day long. I'm a guy who's bet on Rodriguez many times recently, and I've lost a bunch of money betting on her. I I have to give it up at some point. Like, she's a good striker, and she's still a good striker, but at 38, she's slower now. I don't think the power is there as much, and her counter grappling just isn't that great. And also the fight IQ, the decisions she's making. That Yasmin Lucindo fight was super winnable. You guys know that I'm not high on Lucindo at all. I fade her at every opportunity I have. Rodriguez was one of those times that I tried to fade her, and I thought that Rodriguez might have done enough, but even then, I don't think she lost that fight because of Lucindo. In my opinion, she lost that fight because of herself. I think she made some bad decisions. I just think that here, is she the much better striker? Yes. I just don't think she's going to really have the opportunities to strike. Robertson's not going to stand there in front of her. She could. It wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world for her to come in with a bad game plan, but recently she's been fighting smarter. I don't think she's going to just stand there with Marina. I think she's going to shoot early. I think she's going to shoot often. Her ground game is very good. The wrestling is solid. The control is very good. The ground and pound is great and getting better. Seems like that's something she's working on with Dean Thomas. The submission grappling game has always been good. So I just think Marina's going to struggle to get back up, and that's really all it comes down to. I think Robertson's going to get the takedowns. I think she's going to get the control. She's going to cause damage with the ground and pound, threaten submissions, win the minutes and the moments on the ground, and ultimately probably win a decision. I wouldn't be shocked if she finished Marina, but Marina's tough, and I can see her surviving all 15 minutes. So I lean towards Gillian Robertson by decision, but I think it's going to be a dominant one. I don't necessarily think this fight's going to play out too close at this stage of Marina's career. Even if Marina was the same age as Robertson, I still think that Gillian would be the favorite, and rightfully so. But then I might be more tempted at this price on Marina. But at this age, I'm not tempted at all. And knowing what I know about her ground game and the fact that it really hasn't improved that much all this time, I have to think that Gillian's going to get it done here, and probably pretty dominantly. You know, it could be interesting. Maybe like a Gillian minus 3.5 spread. Usually everybody goes and they look for the plus 3.5. So they can, bet on somebody they think might be like a value loser, but they can still cash if they just win a round. But sometimes it's better to look at the minus 3.5. So let me see. So Bet Online, nah, I would have wanted better. Bet Online has minus 150 on the minus 3.5. I would have wanted plus money, because I feel like usually with women's underdogs, people go straight for that spread and they just play it, and it ends up being chalk. But here, they're kind of onto the fact that Gillian can win this 30-27 or get a finish. So they're kind of onto me here, but it's Gillian for me. Moving on, we got Azamat Bekoev versus Ryan Loder. Bekoev, 19-3-0, 29 years old, 6 feet tall with a 72-inch reach. Loder on the other side, 7-1-0. He's 33. He's 4 years older. He's 2 inches taller, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. So this is the fight that I do need to tape more. It's one of the only fights that I haven't fully gotten into, but I do know both of them pretty well. Bekoev, I'm familiar from the regional scene and from taping him for his UFC debut. He was over in LFA. He fought my guy Butka to a 5-round split decision. I believe it was a split. So I'm sure some people are looking at that, because when he fought Reese, everybody was like, oh, he went to split with Butka. Butka was rocking him. And Butka did rock him, to be fair. But everyone was saying because of that, Reese would rock him and knock him out. And I got a pretty good price on Bekoev against Reese. I got him at like minus 175, and he just ran through him. In this fight, Loder's another guy that I'm also pretty high on. I did back him against Valentin, and I think at a pretty decent price. I think it was close to pick him, something like that, maybe even the dog. And the first round was a little sketch, getting your back taken like that. And now knowing what we know about Valentin, maybe hasn't aged the best, but ultimately he's a good athlete. He's a good wrestler. His striking isn't very good, but he's relatively green still in MMA. I mean, the experience difference here is pretty massive. So maybe we can expect some improvements from Loder in terms of the striking, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Again, I need to tape it a bit more, but I think Bekoev's a better striker. I think Bekoev's probably going to, I don't know who's a better pure wrestler, but because he's the better striker, I think he's going to have more wrestling success because he can set it up with the hands, whereas Loder, I'm not convinced that he can set it up with the hands. And I also think Loder, just his defense isn't very good on the feet. And Bekoev does hit hard. He is a good striker. And he's not old either. He's 29. So he's also still improving fight to fight. And we know he can go 5 rounds. I know that he slows down, but I know that ultimately his cardio isn't horrible. And I do think he can go 15. I think he can go a hard 15. And I do think he's going to beat Ryan Loder. Again, a fight I need to fully tape. So it's entirely possible that I'll tape it and be like, no, never mind, Loder is the side. But right now, I think it's Bekoev for me. I don't really want to parlay him because I do rate Loder, but I could be interested in like a knockout prop because I think this dude hits really hard. And think that Loder might not be able to take the shots from him. So, and I think a ground and pound finish could be live for him as well against Loder. So for me, it's Bekoev. Bekoev by knockout is a play that interests me, but so far nothing there. Next up, we've got Yana Santos versus Miesha Tate. Yana Santos, 15-8-0. She's 35 years old, 5'6" with a 68.5-inch reach. Tate, 29-0. She's 38, so she's 3 years older. She's going to be the same height, and she's going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. This is a tricky fight for me. I taped it literally right before the show, like an hour before the show. But it's tricky because it's like I like Tate here, but she's 38 years old. She's been really inactive. Came back after a long layoff, beat the crap out of what's her name, Avila, which was a dominant performance. But like I never rated Avila ever, so doesn't mean a ton to me. And then Yana Santos, I feel like she's been competing at a higher level for the most part recently. Not like all time, obviously, but like recently, I feel like she's been fighting the better competition, and you know, her activity's been a little bit better. She's also a pretty inactive fighter, though, to be fair. The reason I like Tate here, what it comes down to for me is I think the gap on the ground is a lot wider than the gap on the feet. Like, I do think that Yana Santos is a better striker. I think at range, she's cleaner. She's got good kicks. I just don't really rate the striking of Miesha Tate all that highly, and she's pretty hittable, a little bit awkward on the feet. But her output's good. She tries. She puts stuff out there. And it's not like Santos is a killer on the feet, and she doesn't really have a ton of power either. So while I lean Santos, I don't think the gap is super crazy. And because of the threat of the takedowns, I think it's going to be even less of a gap. And then Santos's takedown defense, not the best. Santos's ground game off of her back, not the best. And Tate, when she gets on top, she's very hard to get off of you. She's got good control. She does good work from there. Solid ground and pound, some solid submission grappling. I don't think she's going to finish Santos, but enough. She does enough down there to win minutes. She won't just be laying on top of her. And ultimately, like, what is Santos best at? She's best in the clinch. I don't see her really. Like they're going to be clinching when Tate goes for takedowns, and if she doesn't get them on the open mat, they're going to hit the fence. They're going to clinch. I just think that Tate is also really physical, so I don't think Santos is going to have the same kind of clinching success that she does in her other fights. I think Tate is going to give her a little bit of a hard time there and be able to drag her down. So because of that, I have to pick Tate. I don't know that I'm going to bet her because it's minus 138. I saw minus 130 when she's 38 years old. I don't know about that. And I think this could very well be a very close, greasy fight, especially if she's not getting the takedowns. If Santos is able to keep it on the feet, it's going to be real greasy. But out of the two of them, who has the potential to look like a big favorite? It's Tate. You know, if she gets the grappling going and she's able to stay on top, she's going to look like a big favorite here. Whereas I don't really see the potential of Santos looking like a big favorite. I feel like if Santos wins, she looks minus 150, the best case scenario. And even that, I think, is being a little bit generous. I think it's going to be really close if she wins. So for me, it's Tate or pass, but I don't know that I'm going to get to Tate at 38 years old. Speaking of 38-year-olds, we've got Jeremy Stephens versus Mason Jones. Stephens, 29-21-0, 38 years old, 5'9" with a 71-inch reach. Mason Jones on the other side, he's going to be 15-2-0, 30 years old, so he's 8 years younger. He's going to be 1 inch taller, and he's going to be at a 3-inch reach advantage. So they're bringing back Stephens, I think, just for one fight. It's because I'm pretty sure this is his, I think he's from here. Not certain, but I'm pretty sure he's the hometown guy. And I think the real reason they're bringing him back is because they wanted to bring back Mason Jones and they wanted to make an exciting fight. And this is a pretty damn exciting fight. Like, this is not going to be boring at all. I think Mason Jones gets it done, but like the price feels kind of nuts considering he's a punching bag. Like, I love Mason Jones. I'm super high on him. I think he's a really skilled guy. But if he just learned some defense, I think he'd be a lot better. He'd be a menace if he just had any semblance of defense. He's very durable. I don't really think Stephens is going to knock him out, but it also wouldn't shock me all that much. Like, if Stephens is going to win this fight, it's going to be by knockout, I think. And Mason Jones, while very durable, is also very hittable. So I can't really condone like minus 500, but I do think he should get it done. I think that his easiest case scenario is take the dude down because Jones can wrestle. He can grapple. And Stephens doesn't have the best takedown defense. He's got a pretty poor ground game once he's on his back. I think Mason Jones could possibly sub him, could ground and pound him, could definitely win minutes on the mat. And then on the feet, I think, the striking level is probably pretty close. In his peak, Stephens would be better. But right now, I would have to lean Jones. I think he's going to be faster. I think he's going to hit harder. And just skill for skill, I think it's close. So I like Mason Jones to get it done. Slightly like I said, close striking, leaning to Jones because of the speed, because of the power, because Stephens is 38 years old, and I think the durability isn't quite there, whereas Jones is a lot more durable. And then I also think Jones has a pretty tremendous advantage on the ground if he chooses to go for it. I don't know that he will. He isn't always the best game planner, doesn't always have the best fight IQ, but I think he will get it done, and I think he probably will mix it in. Either way, I think Mason Jones is... I don't know if he's going to cover, but I think he wins this at a pretty high clip. I'm going to pass. I just don't really want to get involved. I'd rather watch this because this fight being exciting is a lock. Unless Mason Jones comes out here and just wrestles for 15 minutes, then maybe it won't be. But I expect this to be a really fun fight and one where I just don't have to get involved with my money if I don't see anything that stands out to me from a value perspective. So I'll pick Jones and we can move on. Next up, we've got Cameron Smotherman versus Serhiy Sidey. Smotherman, 12-4-0. He's 27 years old, 5'9" with a 69-inch reach. Sidey, 11-2-0. He's 28. He's 2 years older. He's going to be 2 inches taller, and he's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage. This should be a fun fight. I think it's a close fight. For me, it's dog or pass. I'm going to lean towards the Smotherman side. I like his game. I like his striking. I know that he's hittable. I know that his chin isn't the best. He's been hurt. He got knocked out by Grigoriou on the Contender Series, and that's aged poorly because Grigoriou just has not done well. But I'm not super sold on Sidey either. He's a good striker. He's solid at range. He can mix in the grappling. He's got decent cardio, but I feel like he just doesn't really separate in a lot of his fights. Like a lot of his fights are playing out close. I didn't feel like he beat Armfield, but I did feel like he beat Tavares. The judges felt differently on both, but that's how I felt. And in this particular fight, like I just think I personally line a pick him. I can understand making Sidey a slight favorite if you really think he's going to get the wrestling off. I know that Smotherman has struggled with grappling in the past, but he's 27 years old, and it is the takedown defense, in my opinion, the ground game overall is improving, and I think it's going to continue to develop. And he's one of these guys from Fury. He's got the same style, or like a similar style to someone like Hyder Ammo, or like a Luis Garule, or like a Michael Aswell, where they're just nonstop pressure, output in boxing, just relentless with it. And that's Cameron Smotherman. I really like that style. I think that Sidey's going to struggle with the pressure a little bit. If Smotherman takes away his range, takes away that reach advantage, I think he's going to have a lot of success in boxing range. I think he's a little bit faster with the hands. I think he's got solid power. Both guys have solid power. I don't really think either guy gets a knockout, but I wouldn't be shocked if either wobbled the other. But I think Smotherman is live to hurt Sidey, to win moments that way. And I think he can win minutes too. I think his output is going to be better. I think that he's just going to be nonstop in Sidey's face. And while Sidey's got good cardio, I think because of the style of Smotherman, I do think he's going to slow down a bit. So I think Smotherman should be able to stuff the takedowns. I think he can outstrike Sidey, and I just like the output, the pace, the pressure. And at plus money, I do think he's the side. For me, it's Cameron Smotherman or pass. And screw it, I'll pick him to win outright as well. Next up, we've got Montel Jackson versus Daniel Marcos. Jackson, 14-2-0, 33 years old, 5'10" with a 75-inch reach. Marcos, 17-0, undefeated. Probably should be 18-0. 32, he's 1 year younger. He's going to be 3 inches shorter, but he's at a large 6-inch reach disadvantage. Good fight. Definitely a good fight. Pretty high-level fight. It's honestly a step up from Montel from his previous opponents. I mean, Damon Blackshear is really good, but like, how much can you take from really just one punch that knocked him out? You can't take much. And then before that, Ronnie Yaya, Ancient. Julio Arce, that's a good win. JP Buys killed him like 14 times, but didn't finish. Jesse Strader, like, come on. He's really similar to Matt Semmelsberger in that he's got the power to continuously knock down his opponents, but a lot of the times he just doesn't follow up and finish. I think he's been a little bit better with that recently, though. In terms of this fight, it's funny because normally I'm a Montel Jackson guy, and I've never bet on Daniel Marcos ever. I've been kind of like a hater, I would say. Not a hater, but a doubter for sure. Haven't really believed in his skills, but I'm starting to come around with him. And in this matchup, it's like, yeah, I can understand Jackson being the favorite. I would make him the favorite. I'll pick him to win outright, but it's dog or pass for me. And look, the reason I think he's a rightful favorite is the size, the athleticism. He's got a huge reach advantage. I think he's the more powerful guy. He's got insane power for the division, and he is going to have wrestling upside. He's a good wrestler when he chooses to use it. But my gut is just telling me that this fight is going to play out close. And watching Marcos, he's like a really good striker. He's really clean. He's got good accuracy. His output's not the best sometimes, but that's because he's picking his shots and he does a good job doing it. Really nice combinations. I think he's got more tools and weapons on the feet with the knees. He's good in the clinch. He's got a really good kicking game. I think the leg kicks are going to be vital here, and I do think he's going to use them. Leg kick Montel Jackson, take away the explosiveness. That's going to help a lot. Take away that base. Because you take away that base, he's not going to have as much power when he's punching. And I think Marcos' takedown defense is pretty good. I mean, it hasn't been tested too much yet, and it's entirely possible that Jackson comes out here and just shoots and takes him down and is able to, roll his way to a pretty easy decision. I think that is on the board. But I lean towards Jackson maybe shooting a few times, getting a couple, not all of them though. And I don't think he's going to stick to that game plan because he normally doesn't. And then on the feet, I think it's going to be close. Jackson's better at range, but his output's not the best. He's not really putting together a lot of combinations. It's a lot of one shots or 1 and 2s or 1-2. Not really a ton going there. And I just think that as long as Marcos is able to keep it on the feet, which I think he can, and he doesn't get deaded, which I don't really think he will. I think he's a pretty durable guy. I think he should be fine here, and I think that he can win. I think he's a very live underdog, and it is dog or pass for me. I think he's a cleaner striker, the more varied striker. And my main concern with Marcos isn't so much the takedown defense. It's more so the cardio, because he does slow down, and Jackson slows a little too, but I'd say Jackson does have the better cardio out of the two of them. So if I'm backing Marcos, really need him to tune up Jackson in that first and second round, because I'm not sold on him winning the third because of that cardio. And, we've seen him hurt in the third round before too. So it's a tricky fight. I can understand if you're on either side, depending on what price you took. But at the current line, -200 Jackson, I think it's a pretty easy dog or pass on Marcos. He's a really good fighter, and he's perpetually underrated. I'm one of those people who constantly underrates him, and I'm trying to come around. Hopefully I'm not coming around at the wrong time, and finally he comes out there and gets deaded or something. But I think that it's a dog or pass, and I'm pretty interested in the dog. Glenn Bot, what's up, Glenn Bot? Good to see you, brother. Jackson sub or Marcos decision might be interesting props. Yeah, what are those? Jackson just doesn't really go for subs, does he? But let's see. Jackson sub +900. Okay. Marcos sub is +3,000 for my degenerates. I played Giga sub last week. And then what was the other one you said? Marcos decision. +275. I don't hate it because I think he is going to win by decision. I don't really see him knocking out Jackson. But yeah, for all those reasons, I think Jackson's the rightful favorite. I'll pick him. I forgot I meant to fill this out as we're going, but it's dog or pass. We'll do Jackson by decision. We'll do Smotherman decision. We'll do Jones decision, I guess. We'll do Tate decision. Lots of decisions. We'll do Bekoev knockout. Let's call it round 1. Robertson decision. Quang decision. Peterson. Let's call it ground and pound TKO in the 3rd round when Mays is exhausted. And then Petrovic decision. Those will be the picks thus far. All right. Next up, we've got Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Daniel Rodriguez. Ponzi, he's going to be 38-0. He's 38 years old, 6 feet tall with a 73-inch reach. Rodriguez on the other side, he's going to be 18-5-0, 38. He's the same age. He's going to be 1 inch taller, and he's going to be at a 1 inch reach advantage. So good fight. This is the other fight that I still need to tape in depth. I've looked into it a little bit, but I'm not really rushing to tape it because I'm not really rushing to bet on either of these guys. They're both washed, in my opinion. They are not what they used to be. This would have been a sick fight in their primes, but right now I feel like it's not going to be that good. I mean, they're going to strike. They're probably going to stand and bang. Ponzi might try to mix in some grappling. It's a possibility. I could see him maybe getting some takedowns, but ultimately it's just a matter of who's going to be able to take the shots better and who's got a little bit more in them. I lean towards Ponzi just because I feel like he's shown a little bit more like fight in him recently. And I do think he's got the potential for grappling upside, whereas D-Rod, not so much. But Do I really want to play Ponzinibbio? No. Do I want to play D-Rod? Not at all. So I'm probably going to pass, but we'll see what happens when I fully tape the fight. Maybe I'll change my mind. This is just a fight that did not stand out to me. And, at their age, knowing at their current form, I'm just not dying to get involved on this one. I'm trying to do better this week. And this is the kind of fight that gets me in trouble. So yeah, you know what the kind of bet I would normally make on this? I feel like this is like a spot where I would stupidly play the over, and then they're just so ancient. One of them punches each other and they're out. But the thing is, see, I'm making the case. What's the price? Oh, hell no. Not at minus 170. See, the case I was going to make is that while, yes, they're both ancient and not as durable as they used to be, they're also ancient and not as fast and not as powerful as they used to be. So, and the cardio is not as good as it used to be. So the finish, if it doesn't happen early, probably doesn't happen at all. So that's my argument for an over. But at chalk, there's no way. Not at minus 170. There's no way I would play it here. Did I fill that one out? Let's go Ponzi decision for now with zero confidence. Next up, we've got the co-main event. We got Reiner de Ridder versus Bo Nickal. RDR, he's 19-2-0. He's 34 years old. He's going to be 6'4" with a 78-inch reach. Bo, he's 7-0, undefeated. He's 29, so he's 5 years younger. He's going to be 3 inches shorter, and he's going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. This is an interesting fight, a really tricky fight. It's definitely a huge step up for Bo Nickal. RDR is a way more experienced guy. I mean, Bo made his MMA debut in 2022, so he's still very green in MMA. He's still improving. We're seeing him get better before our very eyes. But I like Bo here, and at the end of the day, I just think he can do exactly what he did in his last fight against Paul Craig here. I think he can do the same thing. RDR, I know he looked really good against Kevin Holland, but it's Kevin Holland who, doesn't have much of a ground game. At least at middleweight, he struggles a lot with it. And Kevin Holland also, like, half the time he's just dialing it in. He makes so much show money that I don't actually think he cares about getting the wins most of the time. I think last time out against Gunnar Nelson, he was sick and tired about hearing about how he doesn't care. So he actually cared for once, but I'm not putting a ton of stock into that RDR finish over Kevin Holland. He was good in ONE FC. Don't get me wrong. He's a good fighter, an elite grappler, but he's a slow, plotty striker. He's not a good striker. He's very hittable, and he's very slow and very plotty. And I just think that Bo can do exactly what he did last time. Just don't take the dude down. You're a better striker. Surprisingly enough, you're a better striker, even though you're the much greener guy. You are much faster. It's not even a discussion. The speed is 100% on Nickal's side. And I think that if he just circles on the outside and tries to do it against what he did against Paul Craig, he can win this fight. I really do think so. And I think he can do it pretty clean. Now, RDR is probably going to push the issue with the takedowns. I don't think Craig even attempted one. RDR, a better offensive wrestler than Craig. He will try to get the takedowns, but I don't think he's going to get them. I think Bo Nickal is going to be able to stuff the takedowns. I think that if the fight hits the mat, it's going to have to be on Bo's terms. And he might do it. He might. If he does, I'd be very nervous. With him on top of RDR, who's just an elite grappler, by far the best grappler Bo has ever fought. But I just don't think he's going to. I think if anything, like if I'm in his corner, I'm saying strike with the dude for 4.5 minutes, strike with him, and then in the last 30 seconds, take a shot, get the takedown, and just solidify the round. Just do that, and I think he should be fine. I personally think Bo's going to get it done. I lean towards a decision. I kind of wish the price was better. Plus 200 doesn't really get me going, but that's the way I lean towards. I just think he's going to be a better minute winner. I think he can win the fight on the feet. He's way faster. And if anyone will get the takedowns, I think it's him. I'll be worried, but I think he should be okay. My biggest concern will be if RDR gets him on his back. Wrestlers often don't know what to do off of their back, so that could be concerning for sure. And RDR is a really big physical guy. But I just don't really see him taking down Nickal at a high clip. Personally, I don't. And don't get me wrong, I've been waiting for my moment to fade Bo Nickal. Maybe this is it. I don't think it's it. I think there's going to be a better time and a better opponent. But RDR could get it done. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I mean, his only 2 losses are to Moakin. He's a heavyweight right now, and a very different fighter than Nickal, a guy with just insane power on the feet. But my hope is that Nickal can keep it on the feet and just outstrike him. And that's what I think he is going to do. And we'll fill it in. We'll go Bo decision. Let's see what the chat is saying. Glenbot saying RDR sub round 3 or maybe Bo decision in the strike. Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Bo decision. Dog saying he likes RDR, pumps out decent volume. Bo just wings. He's still bad at striking to me. Yeah, but I think he's a better striker than RDR. And like, if anyone has the room to get better at it, it's him. At 29 years old, much better athlete. I think he's going to be the better striker. Glenbot saying RDR is bigger than Craig too. He is. RDR is massive. So there definitely are concerns. This won't be an easy fight for Bo, I don't think, but I think it's a fight where he could still cover that price. You know, if he's just moving, being faster, maybe mixing in takedowns late in rounds just to get on top, add a little bit of emphasis to the rounds. I think he could probably cover, but yeah, it's a tricky one. I could end up being 1,000,000% wrong, but that's where I'm at. All right, for our main event, we've got Cory Sandhagen versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Sandhagen 17-5-0. He's 33 years old, 5'11" with a 70-inch reach. Figgy 24-4-1. He's 37. He's 4 years older. He's going to be 6 inches shorter, and he's going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. So pre-tape, when I first looked at the line, I was like, Figgy plus 400. Let's go. I was going to bet Figgy. I was going to do it probably for a full unit. But then I taped it, and I'm not as excited for it anymore. I'm having kind of a hard time picturing what a Figgy win looks like. Like, is Cory a guy who normally covers a minus 500 price tag? I mean, it depends against who, you know? There's fights where he does, like Rob Font, he clearly covered earlier fights. But, you know, most of the time, I wouldn't say that he's necessarily a minus 500 fighter. And I'm not convinced that he's going to look minus 500 against Figgy here, but Figgy's 37. He's up a weight class. He's slower than Cory. Cory, I think, is a better striker. Cory's going to put out way more volume. And while Cory has struggled with grapplers in the past, that was like in the past. And even with Umar, you know, he did a pretty good job getting back up, staying safe. He did stuff a lot of the takedowns too. And I don't really think that Figgy's going to have a ton of wrestling success. I think he could get some takedowns. Don't get me wrong, especially early. I think he could get some takedowns. But I don't think he's going to sub Cory. Cory's really improved the ground game like a lot ever since he got submitted by Aljo in that first round. He's really worked on it. And especially if this fight leaves like the first 2 or 3 rounds, I think Cory's just going to start to really pull away. And ultimately, I think he wins a decision. I think he just puts out a lot more volume and just does a lot more. But I wouldn't be too shocked if he knocked out Figgy. Maybe not like knockout cold, like go to sleep, but like a TKO, I can see it. I don't really think I really don't think he'll sub him. And then on the Figgy side, do I think Figgy finishes him at any clip? I don't think he knocks him out. Cory is durable. Maybe a sub. Like maybe he can get a sub. Like if Cory shoots for some reason, maybe Figgy can lock in that guillotine that he has. Like I said, early, I can see Figgy getting on top. Maybe he can kind of roll that into a sub. But I don't think it happens at a high clip. For me personally, it's Sandhagen here. I think he gets it done. I can't really get to the minus 450. I don't really want to parlay that or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, my gut, when I saw plus 400, I mean, I was interested for a reason. And I explained why. So I wouldn't be super shocked if Figgy pulled off the upset, if maybe he banked some wrestling early, or maybe if he did snatch that submission. But I think I'd be more tempted on the plus 400 on Figgy if this was a 3-rounder. At 5 rounds, I have to really favor Cory, who I think is just going to be able to put on a much higher pace, do a lot more, mix it up a lot more on the feet, be faster, take the big shots, be able to stuff the takedowns, maybe even, you know, get a takedown or 2 of his own, which I wouldn't really say is the best game plan, but maybe once Figgy's tired, he could. But I think Cory's going to strike with him, and I think he's going to outstrike him, and I think he's going to get a decision. I was kind of hoping for a playable decision prop, but they were like, nah, screw you, and they gave me a minus 150, which kind of stinks. At that point, like, I kind of rather a fight goes at minus 190, but then I'm betting on Figgy at 37 years old and almost 30 fights worth of damage to be able to survive the pace and the pressure and the output of Cory. I don't really know that I want to do that for 2 units to win 1. So I'll probably stay away. Maybe if the domestics give me a better decision prop, I can get there. What Cory knockout is kind of interesting, but like Figgy is really durable for the most part. And I think moving up in weight definitely helped him because that weight cut was not easy for him. But yeah, for me, it's Cory. I think he gets it done. And let's fill it in. Cory by decision is what I think. Gwenbot saying Sandhagen KO round 3-4. Hopefully by flying knee. Could be. I'd be interested in the 4-5 props. That could be something. I wish in New York we had like the 4-5 decision on FanDuel. That's something I would play. We don't get those here, which sucks. But I think that could be something depending on the price. But yeah, I won't beat a dead horse. It's Cory by decision for me. And that's it, guys. That's UFC Des Moines. And I've already got a bunch of bets locked in. Like I said before, for my bets, my notes, my breakdowns, you can get them all on my Dub Club, link in the description of this video. And you can get the promo code Couch Warrior Pod. It'll get you 20% off for your first month. So make sure to use that if you do sign up. If you got any questions, just hit me up. We didn't do super great last week or the week before on PFL, but hoping to turn the ship around. I'll run through the picks one more time and then we'll get on out of here. So we'll go Petrovic here by decision. Peterson KO round 3. Quang Lee by decision. Gillian Robertson by decision. We'll go Bekoev knockout. Tate decision. Jones decision. Smotherman decision. Jackson decision, but it's dog or pass. Ponzi decision pending more tape. Nickal decision. And Sandhagen decision. That's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you guys next time. Good luck this weekend.